I know, I missed it.
Right.
If it's a big project, those four are sitting right next to each
Yeah.
other, so they can just kind of go with that.
Yeah.
So you may, depending on how you get assigned inside the projects, you may get moved around inside.
That is good.
Other than that, it's pretty easy, you know.
Really cute.
I love these little ones. My favorite. I don't even know about it.
Kid, there's only 4 CHLA this week?
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna. Really does. Can't. I know, right? She's staring hard. Scary.
This is serious.
All right. We will get back going now. This chair right here. Megan, you there?
Yes,
All right. Can't tell you how happy that makes me.
I did.
All right, I'm signing your name to the training roster, okay?
Sure.
Okay, all right, so the next thing we're gonna go over is probably the most important thing I'd like you to get out of this training. Okay, so it's very important that we go through this, you guys understand this, and know what this means, okay? Biggest piece, and where we have the most potential for failure in the project world is the statement of work, okay? Statement of work, also called SOW or SOW, okay, defines what we're going to do, okay? In commercial, typically, when you get a customer, right, or you get a service event that shows up on your board, you know what we're going to do for them, right? We're going to fix their piece of equipment, typically, 95% of the time, right? In projects world, we know nothing about what we're gonna do about a customer when we look at a service order until we go understand exactly what they want, okay? And how we define exactly what they want is the statement of work, okay? So a statement of work is a document that outlines the specific tasks, deliverables, and requirements for a customer engagement. Tasks, deliverables, requirements. Okay. It is absolutely critical that we understand this document for every customer, backwards and forwards. A good PM could tell me what's included in the SOW without even looking at it. Once they learn, right? Once they reviewed it. So in the middle of a project, I should be able to walk up to a PM and say, is that included in the SOW? And they should be able to tell me yes or no in a matter of 3 seconds. They should know. They should know that SOW backwards and forwards. It's their Bible. Okay? Every project we do has a unique SOW. You can't think, because we did it for Home Depot, we're gonna do it for Walmart. Nope, it's completely different. Okay? Technicians get really, really confused about this. One of the biggest problems we had about 2 months ago, we had Home Depot and Walmart running at the same time. Okay? For Home Depot, you had to be on site at a fixed time, and you were installing PCs. For Walmart, you could be on site anytime you wanted, 24/7, and we were installing pin pads. I can't tell you the amount of technicians who showed up at our Home Depot and tried to show up at a Home Depot at 2 o'clock in the morning and didn't understand why they couldn't do an install, because they confused the 2 projects. Well, it's the project, it's the same. No. Every project is different. Every single scope is different. Every single scope has different rules. Okay? So like you guys have rules in commercial, right? No ETA after 3 p.m. I don't have that. I have fixed ETAs, or I have open ETAs based on the project. Every single project, every single customer has unique goals, requirements, and rules. Okay? It is absolutely imperative that the PM understand the SOW backwards and forwards. They need to know it. They need to live it. Okay? This is where my biggest billing challenge is always happens. Every single project we do, it gets to the very end, all the work is done, the customer gets the bill, and they say, wait, I was only supposed to pay $100 a second. Yeah, but we went and did this, this, and this. Yeah, but that wasn't in the SOW, so why are you billing me for it? Every single project. And I have to get on the phone with the customer, go through the SOW, go through what we did, go through why we did it, make up reasons and excuses, and we settle for 50%. Every single time. Okay? SOW is vital. All right? Now, just as I say that every customer has a different SOW, that doesn't mean we have different processes or different policies. Okay? We still use the same process. We still do a kickoff call, we still open the calls, we still dispatch the calls, we still confirm them 3 days out, we still get the technician on site, and we still close it and get our deliverables. Process stays the same. What we do inside of that process changes for every single customer. Okay? Everybody understand that part? All right. Inside your little packet, we got, I think I did 3 sample sows. Okay, these are sows that we just completed. Well, either completed or in process of completing, that I want to go through with you guys. Okay? When a project starts, okay, after sales sells it, project managers get the sales to ops and a sow. Project managers are responsible for understanding what's in the sow. Candace asked an interesting question earlier. Well, it's gonna be in the sales to ops, won't it? Maybe, but project managers can't go back to a sales to ops and say, that's what we're doing, that's all we're doing. They don't have that luxury. They go and live by the SAL. I don't hold salespeople responsible for completing a sales to ops absolutely 100% perfect in PMO world. They have to complete a SAL, and that SAL is what the project manager lives by. Okay? Sales to ops should give us some basic information, should give us some guidance. It's a tool. Project managers own to the SAL. Megan, have you ever been able to say, hey, sales didn't give me any information on sales to ops, so I didn't do it?
No.
Okay. Never an acceptable excuse. Live to the SAL. Okay. So we're gonna go through 3 types of SALs that we receive. Okay, 2 of them are customer guided SALs. 1 of them is a barrister guided SAL. Okay, when I say customer guided versus barrister guided, customer guided means they wrote the document and we live to it. Barrister SAL means we wrote the document and we live to it. Right? So it's just the only difference is who originated it. Okay? All barrister written SALs typically will look the same way. They'll have the same basic format. Okay? Customer guided SALs typically will be different by customer. Right? NCR has a type, CDW has a type, everybody's got their own type. Right? So it's important that you're familiar with the different types, so that way you understand what to look for and what not to look for, okay? All right, so the first SAL we're gonna go through, is a typical NCR SAL, okay? It's the one that we just finished for Home Depot, okay? This SAL is always written, their SALs are always written very legally. By that I mean they got a lot of legal language in it, okay? The key to legal language is don't let it override you, okay? They use a lot of big words that mean absolutely nothing, okay? Lawyers get paid by the letter, okay? So they use a lot of big words, don't really mean it, right? Here on 2, the hell is that? It doesn't mean it, right? But they put those words in there. Okay, so key things you're gonna see in each SAL, right? First one's gonna be, the first point that you always need to look for is a scope, okay? Statement of work contains a scope. Scope is one of the most critical items of a SAL. It is not the only item in a SAL. Scope is gonna tell you what you're responsible for. SAL includes a lot of other things that we're gonna talk about. Scope is the most important, okay? From a project manager perspective, because that's what you gotta go do, okay? This one, they say refer to Exhibit B, okay? So we'll look at that in a second. Term, okay? Term is important because it tells you when the SAL starts and when the SAL ends. Need to know. When a customer asks you to do a service outside of the SAL dates, or the effective dates, or the term dates, you say, nope, that's not in the SAL. And we'll talk about telling the customer no a little bit.
You don't submit it for a change order?
Yeah, it's change order, is how we tell a customer no. Talk about that. All right, then it's gonna start talking about this one talks about contractor responsibilities. In this world, in this document, we're a contractor. Okay, just like a technician is a contractor to us. In customer SAL world, we're the contractor to them. Okay? So this is what we're responsible for doing. At least it starts listening it out. 1, we have to assign a project manager. Okay? So by SAL, I can't remove Megan. They have to have a Megan. Okay? But they have to have a project manager. Okay? That person's responsible for doing the reviews, accomplish tasks outlined, manage day-to-day project activities, and serve as single point of contact. Okay? go back to our roles and what we talked about a project manager does. It's almost verbatim. There's a reason. Okay? And then the document tells us, this is the legalese version. Document says that we have to do what we say we're gonna do. So in this document, we're gonna say we do a bunch of stuff, we gotta go do it. Okay? That makes sense so far? Okay. All right, then this next section is gonna be what the customer is responsible for. Okay? Customer is responsible for assigning a project manager. The customer pulls their project manager and doesn't give us a replacement, they're outside the SAL. We get to throw a red flag. Okay? It also says the customer is responsible for resources, space, personnel, and avoiding delays. Okay? Project gets unnecessarily delayed. Outside of SAL. Megan, Home Depot didn't get delayed, did it?
Yeah, a lot.
Every project gets delayed. No project runs on time. Ever.
Why?
Ever.
Why?
Typically customer, variety of reasons, but typically customer.
Is that a goal?
No, it's not a goal. You'd love for it to run, you'd love to be able to say on October 1st that we'll be done on December 31st and there'll be no issues. There's always issues. Always issues.
So what happens when there's issues? So what, give me a
Red
scenario. What would you do in the instance that you have a major issue come up?
Red flag. Typically what's gonna happen is you're working with your project manager at the customer to execute some sort of change order to redefine the scope or to define what we're doing about those issues as they happen. And if there are scope issues that the project manager is not willing to address with you, then that's when you would escalate it either to me or whoever's responsible to go ahead and escalate it inside the customer location.
Does your project go on hold when there's an issue? Like your entire project goes on hold?
Depends on the type of issue. So, for example, for Walmart, they had a series of the devices that were shipped out had the wrong firmware. That project went on hold for a week. We didn't do anything for a week until they got the right firmware out there, or the right devices out there. Home Depot, they had problems with cabling in their pin pads. It was the pin pads, right, Megan?
Yeah.
Was it pin pads? And so the project came to a slow pace. We did, instead of 20 sites a day, we did 1 site a day, and that technician was on the phone with Home Depot and the NCR resources the entire time he was there troubleshooting the issue. Right? So it depends on the type of issue and how it needs to be resolved. Sometimes the issue can be resolved without us, sometimes the issue can't be resolved without us. It just depends. Everyone's different. Okay. Other questions on that? That make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right, customers also responsible for safe and reasonable access, working space, office supplies, furniture and facilities, heat, light, ventilation, electric current, outlets, local telephone extensions equivalent to those provided by NCR's project team members. They gotta give us room to work. Okay? We show up at a store and there's no power, we don't have to work. Okay? There's no heat, that's when they work. We don't have to work. Okay? And they have to provide us access to equipment. They gotta ship the parts. Gotta get the units there. Whatever we're doing, whatever we're going on site to do, they gotta get it there. Alright. Alright, next section is payment. Kinda critical. I like getting paid for what I do. Megan, do you work for free? Never mind.
Answer that question.
Never mind.
We're on Saturday.
No, I didn't.
You're not a volunteer, huh?
No.
Damn. All right. Later on, you and I are gonna have to talk how I can get on that program.
Well, I'm remembering that I'm on a recorded line, so I do not work for.
Good comment.
Now, if you want to talk about it private, sure.
All right. So it's very important, a project manager, just in commercial, you guys are told that you don't deal with the billing.
Right.
All right, you don't answer questions about billing. PM is completely different, okay? You own that project. You own every aspect of it, from the beginning to the end. Nobody is gonna know the billing aspect of it better than you will. You own it. Okay? You gotta understand it. You gotta understand how we charge. Okay? It's the most, well, second most important part of a project. First most important is what we're gonna go do. Second most important is how we get paid for it. Okay. Next section is the change control process. Okay? All right. So we're gonna start talking about this a little bit here, and we're gonna talk about it in detail in the next couple of slides. But the change control process, everybody calls it something different. I call it a change order. NCR calls it change control process. CDW calls it a change order. We had one customer, I'm trying to think who it was, may have been CompuCom, that calls it exception to work. Can call it whatever you want. But the third most important part of our project is change orders, okay? Anybody ever work in the construction business?
Yeah, I've been all over that.
Kind
All right, so one of the biggest parts of construction, right? You see all these people out on the roads building highways, right? Those contracts are purposely bid extremely low. And they're bid very, very detailed. We will require exactly 1.2 ounces of asphalt for every 3 inches, right, whatever the numbers are. When somebody says 1.3 instead of 1.2, or the customer says, hey, we need 1.3 instead of 1.2, they say, time out, change order. I bid 1.2. To get you to 1.3, ooh, boy, that's really, really expensive. I wish you would have told me originally, because then we could have built it differently and it'd been cheap. But now, to get that extra ounce, really, really, really expensive. I need to give you a change order. That's where they make money. Okay? There's a term, it's called Bow Brothers. Okay? Company name. They're a big construction company. They do this all day long. It's why they win every state contract to build a highway. Because they bid at about half the price that they know it's gonna be. They bid it very specifically, and then change order the state to death and end up making 3 times as much as they bid. Okay, change orders are the absolute key to project management and understanding when to do them. Okay, now a whole process on change orders. I'm gonna get to those. It's very important you guys understand. Anything that's in the SOW is what we're supposed to do, but only what's in the SOW is what we're supposed to do. The SOW says 1 hour, and we spend 1 hour and 10 minutes. That is a change order. If we're supposed to do 7 things, and we're required to do 7.5, that is a change order. We only do what's in the SOW. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay? All right. That's what a change request is, or a change control process is. Okay? All right. Let's now go to Exhibit A. Okay? Project scope. Everybody understand change order? Kind of general idea of what a change order is and why it's important. Okay. All right, so this is in the NCR sample contract, okay? This is what tells us what we're supposed to go do, okay? Typically, big projects like we did for Home Depot will have two scopes. One, a general project scope that defines general parameters of the engagement. And then one, a task-specific scope, which defines very specifically what I'm supposed to do when I arrive on site. Okay? So we're gonna walk through both. Project scope. Provide one technician per store to replace two PCs in each store's kitchen design department with two new all-in-one devices, including monitor, keyboard, and mouse. Okay? Very basic. Installs will be Monday through Thursday during daytime store open hours. Installations are expected to take approximately 4 hours, and 2 stores can be scheduled per day per tech. The tech has 2 stores scheduled in any given day. Tech must arrive at the first store no later than 8, and no later than 2 at the second store, unless we got written permission. If you only have to do 1 store, the tech should be scheduled to arrive either by 8 or by 2. Each technician should have PC POS installing experience. Each technician must arrive prepared, having read through the installation guide, bringing with them a version of the install guide and sign-off form, basic hand tools, tie wraps for cable management, and a digital camera. There's your tool list, right? There's the piece you need to keep. Each technician will need to call the NCR rollout help desk to check in and out from each store location. Okay? Well, that's different than normal commercial work, right? Tech can call us when he gets there and update his portal, right? In the commercial world. PM world, we got to talk to him. And if he doesn't call in by 8:03, all hell breaks loose. Trust me. They reserve the right to remove anyone from site if behavior is not in a professional manner. Right? That's obvious. All changes, whether oral or written, will require written approval from the NCR PM before a contractor has go-ahead to do the requested work. Failure to follow this change control and approval process may result in non-payment for additional work completed. That one sentence right there, well, 2 sentences, extremely powerful. They just said, if you do anything outside of this document and try to bill me for it, fat chance. Gotta let me know first, and I have to authorize it first, not via voice, in writing. Okay? Every scope should have that. A very powerful statement. Okay, it assumes I have change orders. Okay? All right, so that's a general project scope, okay? Gives you some general ideas. Here's what basically they're supposed to do. Here's when we can go. Here's when we have to do the installs. Here's the different days we can do, the general definition of the task we're gonna go do, right? Replace 2 PCs, right? Everybody kind of understand general, right? I would imagine that in the commercial world, the only thing you would get is probably that first sentence, right? Come install 2 PCs, right? in the kitchen design department,
Yep.
okay? In the project world, we get an installation scope, okay, which is the bottom. And we take installing 2 PCs to the detail of about 20 bullets. Okay? So it's very, very, very specific. It is very important that what we do and what we're told to do is very, very specific, because we're only going to do what's in that document. Okay? All right. So the technicians, the installation scope for each event. Arrive at the store, contact the manager on duty, and indicate that you're an NCR installer and scheduled to replace 2 of the kitchen design PCs. Locate the boxes, move them to the training room. Complete the software provisioning of the new AIO devices. Complete inventory of new IT equipment. Walk the store prior to starting any provisioning build or disconnecting legacy PCs to make sure you know which ones need to be replaced. Verify and document, sign-off form, the functionality of legacy PCs. Get the store manager to agree. Don't troubleshoot pre-existing issues. Replace the existing PC along with all peripherals. Install the new AIO device, new power cable, existing data cable, associated peripherals, keyboard, mouse. Deinstall pin pad and scan gun must be reinstalled on the new AIO device. Software provisioning build. Work with manager on duty to test new PC. Move the debris from the sales floor to the receiving area. Put a UPS shipping label on each box and place in the receiving receiving for shipment from the store. Complete the asset reporting for installed equipment on the sign-up form. Okay, that's a key, that's a deliverable. Store receiving associate be responsible for the shipping of legacy equipment. Then it talks about what we need to do if it's DOA. Last 2 bullets. Complete required photographs. 1 photo of overpack box and ground return label. Once you're done, obtain project sign off by the store manager or manager on duty. Okay? So I want you guys, it's important, less important than the very specific steps that are being done here, are for you guys to understand the level of severity that we go through in the PM world, when writing a scope or when delivering to a scope, to define exactly what needs to be done, okay? There cannot be a single variable, okay? When there's a variable, that leaves chance for change. When there's a change, there needs to be a change order, okay? One thing we did not do well on this project. You'll see on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th bullet from the bottom. If the device is found to be dead on arrival or damaged, the contractor will clearly mark the box as DOA with a red label. The contractor will be expected to perform several tests to validate if DOA, including contacting the THD IT support desk. This may require 2 to 3 iterations of the provisioning build process. They changed that to say, every box, every unit you send back gets a red piece of paper for DOA, or green if it was good. Piece of paper, text had to bring construction paper with them, or paper, right? Green and red paper. We didn't document that. We didn't put that in the scope. We didn't execute a change order for that. We should have. That's a change. Okay, something that minute, now I gotta use green and red paper, is a change to an SOW. Okay, it's not just let's talk about it on the phone once and go do it. It's gotta be in the SOW. If it's not in the SOW, I am not doing it.
So it was a permanent change that they made?
Megan didn't mess that up, I messed that up. They told me and I didn't make them go sign a change order. Okay, I figured it was minuscule. came back to bite us in the ass. Because now, they got a reason not to pay you. You agreed to do this, you didn't do it, I'm not paying you for that site. Right? They win. Okay? Every single change to this needs to be documented, needs to be discussed, and needs to have a change order done. And everybody has to. When I say everybody, the partner and Barrister. Okay? And then you update your install instructions for your technician. What you send to a technician, we talk about specifically later, is this basically. You send him this. This is his instruction. This is what you do, Mr. Technician. This. Don't do anything but this. If you do anything but this, you don't get paid. They will still do things but this. We try to control it as much as possible. That's the project manager's job. Okay? Questions?
Is this something that's discussed with them at the level of dispatch too, even like down to the construction people thing that was?
Most definitely. Yeah, this is what dispatch, so just like dispatch reads the SDI to a technician in commercial, in PMO, they're reading this.
Okay.
This is what they read to them. Okay? Questions on scope? All right, Exhibit B. Services. Okay, this relates more to the general project management process for the project. Okay? Very important points in here, okay? NCR assigns a PM and an implementation coordinator, okay? We're responsible for providing a PM and as-needed support staff, okay? PC and dispatch. Okay, and then obviously a technician for school, right? Somebody to go on site. NCR was responsible for providing us a final store list and the installation documentation. So they own telling us where to go and what to do, and what are the instructions that we're following when we get there. Then from a PM perspective, here's what we were responsible for providing. Schedule for each store at least 2 weeks prior to the scheduled installation. Distribute install documents and ensure each technician has it printed out and reviewed prior to scheduled installations. Hold weekly training calls with technicians assigned the week prior to the scheduled installation to go over the installation responsibilities and schedule and to confirm technician readiness, our confirmation calls. Okay? Proactively confirm, assist technicians will be on site at least 1 hour prior to scheduled start time, including confirming that they have the correct store number and address, and that they have a printed installation document and sign-off form. Again, our confirm calls. When we get into our confirm script, you'll see we talk about a lot of this. Monitor technician check-ins on NCR's online project database, QuickBase. Guess what? You guys don't like using BAM and Clearview? We get to use Clearview and the customer system. Okay, so we're gonna go through QuickBase. I'm gonna log you guys into QuickBase. We're gonna look at it and see it. But basically, for this project, they required us to log into their system and watch for changes. They didn't have to necessarily notify us. They could just update it in the system, and we were supposed to know. Okay? Got to manage their system. Okay? Prepare contingency plans and mobilize backup technicians to be on site on time if a scheduled technician cannot be confirmed or cancels. Okay? We're responsible for backup technicians. Be staffed during hours of installation to handle escalations and make sure Barrister on-site personnel are on track. Okay, gotta be here when the installations are rolling. Some of our projects, we haven't talked about this before, but some of our projects run overnight. Okay, so if they run overnight, we're responsible for having staff available to manage that call, right, in service and escalation board. And then be staffed during normal business hours to interact with NCR project management and address NCR project-related updates and queries. Technicians will take digital pictures to support installations. To be provided to NCR PM upon request within 48 hours after each site completion. The photos are required to be posted to the online project database, QuickBase, no later than 72 hours after each installation is completed. Technicians will obtain and provide completion sign-off from site management. Sign-offs need to be posted to the online project database, QuickBase, within 24 hours of install completions. So they just told you right there, sign-off form, gotta give it to me in 24 hours. Pictures, gotta give it to me in 72. If you don't, you're outside of the scope of work and I don't have to pay you for that site. Big one. Okay, big requirement. All right. Prices and payment. So we talked a little bit before, in the commercial world, you guys don't necessarily have visibility into the billing, and a customer asks a billing question, you refer that to accounting, right? PMO world, different, okay? You own it, soup to nuts. Okay? So you're responsible to customer question, you gotta answer it. You gotta know it. No one is gonna know it better than you will. You know your scope. You know your SOW, we talked about earlier. You know the answer. You give it to them. Okay, they don't have to ask anybody else. You got one person, okay? Typical pricing is for something like this, okay, is a per store cost, a per site cost, okay? Regardless of the amount of time, we charge X rate to do these tasks, okay? Well, Jerry, what happens if we go over? Goes back to the scope of work. Did we do the task inside the scope of work? Yes. Did we do only the task inside the scope of work? Yes. You only bill $200. Did we do something outside the scope? Yes. We did something different. Change order. Why the change order is important. If you don't get the change order, you can't bill for it. You gotta get the change order when it happens. Right? Without the change order, you can't bill for it. Make sense? All right. Payment. Invoice NCR once per week, no later than end of day Wednesday for services provided during the previous week. So every store we ran the week before, Monday through Friday, has to be invoiced the next Wednesday. Okay, you guys don't do the invoicing, and still does the invoicing, but you're responsible for getting all the information to accounting to invoice it. Honestly, all accounting does is hit a button and run a report to send them an invoice. PMs does everything else. PM is responsible for making sure the call is billing the correct amount before they close it, or when they close it. PM knows how much we're supposed to bill. They gotta close it right. You following me there, Kristen? That's gonna be key. That's key as we get into the NCR stuff is easier. As we get into the CDW stuff, that's a lot more specific because every single one's different. Right?
Yeah.
So you gotta make sure when you're closing those calls that it comes up with the amount it's supposed to bill. Okay? Most projects that we do have penalties. Okay? They ding us if we do something wrong. We don't show up on time, don't give the right deliverables, we don't give them on time, whatever it may be, they define penalties. okay? We don't show up same day. Say we schedule a site for December 12th. December 12th comes and we don't show up. We don't show up at all on December 12th. We don't get to bill for that install. We still have to do it, don't get to bill for it. Those shows are not acceptable. Give you an example. We won't talk about the first 2 weeks, but the last 2 weeks of this project, we ran north of probably 500 events. We had 2 no-shows. 2 in 500. That's a 2%, about 5. 0.4% no-show rate. My SLA was 99.6. All I hear about is those 2 no-shows. You guys would kill yourself for 99.6 SLA. You'd be running around here like, like the cat who ate the canary. Okay? Much, much different level of success. Okay? Success is set much, much higher. Okay? Or defined much, much higher. Penalty doesn't apply if, it's force majeure, right? If it's weather, it's snowing, they don't get to bill me. And if I send the same day, a technician same day, okay, a same day reschedule. We'll talk about same day reschedules when we get to our reporting, but if I get somebody there the same day, I'm in the clear. Okay? If we damage equipment on site, we own it. We gotta get it fixed. Missing or incomplete asset information. So if the serial numbers aren't completed or the photos aren't completed, I gotta go back and get the information at no charge. We go on site, start the work, and leave. I can only bill for half the work. I still gotta finish it, gotta send somebody else to finish it. I can only bill for half of it. So instead of my 200, I can only bill 100. I gotta pay somebody else to go and do it. Okay?
And there's no negotiating the prices with those installers,
Run that by me again.
negotiating the prices with the installers. So if someone has to leave, obviously our cut is gonna be a certain percentage
Yep.
to have some
Yep.
kind of profitable business. So
Yep.
do we have negotiable prices based on,
Most definitely.
Okay.
And I'm gonna negotiate as much as I can on those.
right?
However, typically what happens is I assigned you, you win, and you got halfway through and said, screw it, walked out the door. Okay? Customer says, hey, you gotta go finish that, and for this first one, you only charge me half. Right, so now instead of billing 2, I'm only billing 100. Okay? I now gotta pay Krista, right, because I gotta get Krista to go do the work. What I'm gonna do is not pay you at all. I'm gonna pay Krista now, okay? Krista is still expecting $100, say, okay? So I'm gonna try to work with Krista and say, gee, can you work with me? Boy, we really like using you in the area. Boy, I got a lot more work. Gee, there's this Walmart thing we're doing over here. Boy, can you do this one for me for 60? Half the work's done, you're just going to finish it off.
Right.
Can you do it for 60? To try to maintain my profit margin. However, at the end of the day, I gotta do it. So if Krista tells me no, and I can't find anybody else,
Right,
I gotta pay what I gotta pay. Okay? Typically, I'm able to negotiate.
right, yeah. Smart.
Okay, but it depends. At the end of the day, I'm responsible for it. Every deliverable I don't return, $25 credit. So if I don't, I'm missing one picture, $25. I'm missing a sign-off sheet, $25. Okay?
And that
So-
comes off of the payment to the installers.
That comes out, well, this document controls the payment from NCR, our customer, to
Us.
us.
Okay.
We're definitely passing it down to the technicians as well.
Right.
So when we dispatch those guys, we tell them, hey, your payment is $100 for this event. But if you don't turn in a piece
You
of
don't get
paperwork, you don't get paid at all.
Right.
It's all or
Right.
nothing with them.
Right, that's
They
what,
did everything.
Deborah?
Yep.
That's what Deborah
Yep.
said to me.
Yep. okay? And then we typically will also bill them. So if you don't show up, we tell you when we dispatch you, if you don't show up at all, not only do you not get paid, you get $200. Okay, so you're gonna then owe me $200 for not being able to complete that site. Okay.
And do we have that like in contract?
Yeah, it's every dispatch that we send to them, it's in the actual dispatch, and then we use that dispatch as this is the contractual document controlling our arrangement, because every single dispatch is different. Remember, every single project is different, so every single dispatch is gonna be different.
And they sign those and give those back to us before?
They don't sign them, it's inferred consent. So by taking it, we tell
Right.
you, hey, this document, it says in the document, that this document controls everything you're gonna do for this service call. You have any issues with it, you gotta tell us before you go and do it. Otherwise, if you go and do the work, it is implied consent to all the terms and conditions inside
Right.
this document. Okay. Questions? Very important for you guys to understand when we're going through this, right? Every project's gonna be different, so the requirements inside of this project, this very specific project, would not be the same for the next, for Starbucks or for Kroger's or anybody else. What's important to understand is the level of scrutiny and the level of importance that this document controls. When you make one little mistake, like you forgot one photo, that costs $25. When a technician doesn't show, that costs $200. Very real money. It's not just, oh, we're really sorry and we'll schedule somebody tomorrow. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Doesn't work that way. Okay? All right. All right, so the last 2 pages are the change request form. Of the change request form, okay? This is where we're gonna talk about change orders. Okay? Very, very important. As we discussed earlier, project management business lives and dies on change orders, okay? What we do is very tightly defined by the statement of work. Anything that we're required to do that is not inside that statement of work, we cannot do without a change order. I would